On the show, in Showtime, we walk you through this year's Geneva Motor Show. In Face to Face, we meet the CEO of Rolls Royce as he talks about their plans for launching an SUV. And in the best of luxury driving, we drive the Mercedes-Benz CLA to Orcha in Madhya Pradesh.
This week on the show, I bring you some action from one of the oldest motor shows on planet Earth. And the relevance of this show is that this happens right in the beginning of the year, which means that some of the concepts and the cars which you see here actually sometimes get translated into real production cars during the course of the year. Yes, I am talking about Geneva. And now it's time for me to walk you through the show and show you some very interesting cars and some which are pure eye candy.
This is the 85th year the Geneva show is being held, and as usual, most European manufacturers and even some specialty houses for customizing and design were present, along with, of course, some of the biggest brands from the motoring world. Volkswagen and its group companies had a huge presence, with all the names under the group umbrella like Audi, Lamborghini, Bentley, Bugatti, Skoda and Seat being present here in full force. Volkswagen used this platform this year not only to reveal some new updated models, but also to showcase their concept car, which in the future would be the replacement for the hugely successful Passat, which was named this year as the European Car of the Year.
This is the GTE concept that Volkswagen is displaying at the Geneva Motor Show. One look at the car and you can see that this is indeed a very good looking car. But this car is also important in another aspect. This is the car which is sporting Volkswagen's future design philosophy, new lines. And if you're going to be a potential Volkswagen customer for the future, I can tell you, you will be driving some very good looking Volkswagen cars.
This new design is actually as the trend of the new generation of Volkswagen, which will come in the market in the future. It's an evolution of the current one. There is no break into the design, into the styling, but it's an evolution with a lot of lines and playing a lot with the lights. So this very model is a prototype. So there is no start of sales announced, even it's not decided to be produced so far. The language of Volkswagen is we become more modern with much more light lines, tornado lines, but it stays a Volkswagen. And the front end of the Volkswagen is absolutely, immediately, you can recognize it. The Indian market is a highly promising market. This is absolutely clear, and the brand is committed to the Indian market. The group is committed to the Indian market. We had more product in the Indian market, and we are really working hard to bring new models in the next months. So far, nothing can be announced, but we have a very clear plan in mind.
Another Volkswagen group company, Audi too, had plenty to show. But what was relevant for the Indian market was the new Q7, which will eventually find its way here. The new Q7 sports new design lines and is a car which has been very popular globally. The design update will give it a new fresh lease of life. Audi also showcased their technology flagship, the R8, in its new shape. The R8 too has had many changes to the front and the rear, and for delivering the sports car-like power output, it will use a V10 Plus engine. Mercedes too had a large presence, and they showcased their entire range of new generation cars, including the AMG GT, which they had recently launched and can be considered to be a successor to the most powerful Mercedes, the SLS AMG, which was discontinued last year. The AMG GT was of course the crowd puller here, while as the long display lineup had other models like the GLE 450 AMG Coupe and the GLE 350D 4MATIC.
India's number 2 car manufacturer, Hyundai, had some years ago launched a relatively small SUV called the Tucson. Some of you might even remember it. At this year's Geneva Motor Show, they launched the all-new Tucson. However, it remains to be seen whether we will see it in India anytime soon.
And there were future concept cars too, and one that caught the attention most was the stunning LFSA from Lexus, which clearly showed its intention here to get into the compact segment in the future and aim at the mass market. The LFSA concept looked futuristic and in true Lexus standards was really well finished, but it will be few years, if at all, before we see this transformed into a real production car. Also on display was the bigger LFC2 concept, which looked absolutely stunning. Rolls Royce was also present with the new Ghost, the Wraith and a custom-made version of the Phantom called the Serenity, which looked stunning, draped in the best quality silk for the interiors and personalized motifs inside the car. This is only one piece made for a customer who of course was willing to pay the hefty price tag with all the customization in it. From Nissan came another compact concept called the Sway, which looked promising with its edgy design and a bold futuristic look, which again can be a potential replacement for the Micra when it does go into production. But the bad news is that for reasons of their own, Nissan will not produce this in India, so the Indian market will have to make do with the familiar and unexciting Micra for a long time. Motor shows have always been about concept cars and supercars, and Geneva too brings along its share of excitement in the form of these. We had the Pagani from Italy with their Heura and of course the Swedish manufacturer Koenigsegg with over 1100 bhp Agera RS. But now it was time to visit the fastest of them all.
If you like your cars fast, then I've got the fastest of them all. The Bugatti Veyron here, over 400 kilometers per hour, 1200 brake horsepower on tap. Bugatti has been building these Veyrons for the last 10 years and they've built 450 units, and this is the last of them all, the La Finale. So if you have been waiting to buy your Veyron, I'm afraid it's a bit too late. But then I'm told Bugatti is building a brand new car next year, and I'm sure that will be even faster than this and perhaps even better looking.
If we had the fastest in the Bugatti, then there were also others which were not exactly slow. The Lamborghini Aventador LP750-4 SV, for example. The special edition SV stands for Super Velocio, which in plain English means super fast. This Aventador is lighter, more efficient and of course much faster, clocking 100 kilometers in just 2.8 seconds. With a top speed of 350 kilometers, and draped in its traditional yellow was a compelling crowd puller. If Lamborghini was there in full force, then its arch-rival Ferrari can't be expected to be too far away. And it was Ferrari which in fact brought along something which was sure to please any supercar fan. The new 488 GTB, which not only looks pretty but is also a sign of the coming times, as Ferrari plans to gradually move away from the big naturally aspirated engines to smaller turbocharged engines like the one in this 488 GTB. It's a 3.9-litre V8 turbocharged mill, which is relatively smaller by Ferrari standards, but then in terms of power output it quite matches up with its bigger engine stablemates.
This is the Ferrari 488 GTB. This is one machine which is seriously fast. Top speed of 330 kilometers, 0 to 200 in just 8.3 seconds. Looks like fun, doesn't it?
If you are out looking for eye candy, then there was plenty of that too. The Alfa Romeo 4C Spider, for example. Cute and compact with a sharp design and a top which can be dropped at the touch of a button, the Alfa Romeos might not be doing great business, but this is what all sports cars should look like, immensely desirable. And in the middle of all this international fair, we caught sight of a name familiar and very Indian, Tata Motors, who had come in with their latest, the Bolt and the Zest. And of course something futuristic as well, the Hexa concept. Tata had launched the SUV Arya, but now it's time for the next step in the evolution. And that is the Hexa, which is based on the Arya platform, but has a different styling and of course many things which are different from the Arya. Tata plans to launch the Hexa sometimes next year in the Indian market. And if you're an off-road junkie, then there was plenty on offer. Starting with the regular Jeep Grand Cherokee and the Wrangler to some very fine custom-made stuff, like the extended wheelbase Defender from a specialty off-road builder Khan, and a series of Mercedes G800 and 700 from Brabus. And these look like vehicles which were tough and capable with the promise to take you anywhere. And in what might be relevant for India, Honda also showcased the Honda Jazz, which is due for launch in the Indian market in the second half of this year, along with the beautiful next generation NSX, a sports car with cutting-edge Honda technology which has been around for a while, and the new Honda Civic Type R. And in the Porsche stand, we saw the Cayman GT4 and the 911 GTR RS, which also we might see in India in some time. Geneva had never been a big showcase for two-wheelers, but we got a glance of what was the Honda Vultus, and of course the awesome MotoGP racer from Team Honda. But the only other bike on display which had some relevance for us was the new Ducati Multistrada, which would be soon launched with a price tag of around 19,000 euros. Needless to say, like most Ducatis, this new Multistrada tool looked absolutely gorgeous and ready for a long ride. And the good news is that we should see this in India as well.
Considering what we saw at the Geneva Motor Show this year, the year ahead certainly looks promising, with lots of interesting cars as well as cars which will up the standards of both safety and emission about to hit the global highways this year. Unfortunately in India we're not going to see most of them, but with a little bit of wait and patience I'm sure you will see them eventually.
My first question to you is, for over 100 years, Rolls Royce has been an icon in terms of the luxury brand. But now do we see a change in the positioning and how Rolls Royce is going to move forward?
Today, Rolls Royce is the pinnacle of luxury, the icon, and for many people even a symbol for the best. Remember when people are saying the Rolls Royce of whatever, the TV appliance or whatever. So nobody in the world needs any explanation what a Rolls Royce is. This brand is so well known, and is the top, the pinnacle.
Yeah, but you recently talked about bringing a 4x4, an SUV kind, so is that going to move the positioning away and get you new buyers? Or?
It is kind of that, let's say it that way. It is a car which I would call, which is effortless everywhere, how we say it. So it's an all-terrain vehicle. We have decided to build up a complete new architecture, which is a full aluminium space frame architecture where all the future models will be derived from. Only Rolls Royces, so no platforms or whatever. It's a pure Rolls Royce platform. And out of this space frame architecture comes also Kalinin. That's the working title of that car.
Okay.
The power plant is, of course, 12-cylinder engines, as our customers love 12 cylinders. It is for all markets worldwide, and I make a bet it is definitely very much appealing also for India. It was, of course, a little bit difficult, as you might understand, over the last years. It's not about money. I mean, there are still a lot of ultra-high net worth individuals in India, as you know, but I think the whole environment and also the political instability and the uncertainty what really happens made people to shy away from buying a new high-end luxury car. But now, with the new government and new spirit coming back to the market, we also sense that it should improve, definitely. I mean, I definitely want to come back anyhow to India, probably even this year. And also that we, in a way, reignite our business in India, because India is for us a very important market, always had been. Right. And my view always was this market is so close with us, had been with us, that now, after that times of austerity, let's call it that way, hopefully we see the whole thing coming back, and I'm back also to reignite that.
I'm driving the stunning Mercedes CLA through Madhya Pradesh. I'm now headed to Orcha to soak in some more of Central India's stunning royal architecture. Now, luckily for me, I get to drive the CLA some more. And I can't wait to get behind the wheels because this car really just eats up the kilometers. She's so smooth and so powerful that I'm sure the 120-kilometer drive from Gwalior to Orcha is going to be over in no time. We're headed over via NH75, so without further delay, let me get behind the wheel. Orcha was founded in the 15th century by the Bundela chief Rudra Pratap Singh, who became the first king of Orcha and built the famous fort here. Orcha lies on the Betwa river in Madhya Pradesh, only 15 kilometers from Jhansi in Uttar Pradesh. It is a historic town that showcases some fabulous architecture. Well, that was quite a drive. It was supposed to be a short and sweet journey, but it turned out to be much longer than I expected because the roads from Gwalior to Orcha are terrible. But fortunately, having a nice car like the CLA on my hands made up for the disappointment of the bumpy roads. That said, however, I've certainly worked up an appetite. I'm starving, so before I do any sightseeing, I thought I'd grab a bite. And luckily, Orcha has no dearth of charming hotels and restaurants, so time to eat. Since Orcha was once a Bundelkhand kingdom, I thought I'd try some traditional Bundelkhand food. So I've ordered some special chicken and bengan that the chef recommended, and I am so ready to try it all. Well, after that delicious meal, I'm all set to discover Orcha. Although I must admit that getting here, the GPS navigation system was a huge help. The roads were unfamiliar to me and I'd have been completely lost without it. Also, having a panoramic sunroof and a great sounding audio system, of course, make a long drive all the more pleasurable. And the interiors have this really cool, stylish look to them, which I think adds to the appeal of the car. Now, time for some sightseeing. Orcha is home to an impressive fortified complex, dominated by two imposing 17th century palaces, Raj Mahal and Jahangir Mahal, which is right where I'm headed. The Raja Mahal was built by Raja Rudra Pratap, the founder of Orcha, but it then became the main palace of Raja Veer Singh Deo, who was arguably the most important ruler in Orcha's history. and it's an architectural marvel with hallmarks like the shafts and the jalis, which provide both ventilation and light while ensuring privacy.
Raja Veer Singh Deo was the ruler of the kingdom of Orcha from 1605 to 1627 AD during Jahangir's reign as the Mughal Emperor of India. He was an ally during Jahangir's struggles against his father Akbar. In the murals that adorn the walls and ceilings of Raja Mahal, which was his palace, you will find mythological figures and Orcha royalty in a variety of interesting scenes.
The Jahangir Mahal was built to commemorate the visit of Emperor Jahangir to Orcha, and it's a stunning example of Indo-Islamic architecture. There's beautiful domes, hanging balconies, a large central courtyard, and a very impressive entryway.
Behind the palace lies the Oont Khana, or the royal camel stables, which are worth stopping by for a great view of the town, a green landscape dotted with monuments.
I thought I'd stop by the Betwa River on my way to the Chhatris to just take in the natural beauty. It's really such a tranquil place to take a break, and I think it's also regarded as a holy river because I see quite a few local people taking a dip. Now, I just thought I'd appreciate the serene waters. It's really clear and very clean actually. I've come to see the Chhatris. Now, these are a set of cenotaphs located on the southern banks of the Betwa River. They were built in honor of Orcha rulers and their family members, and as you can see, they all follow a similar architectural framework. They have square bases and long pointed domes. And now the ashes of the rulers are said to have been buried under the sanctums housed inside the Chhatris. From what I see, even from outside, they're beautiful. So I'm looking forward to walking around.
Located at Kanchan Ghat, the Chhatris are memorials that define Orcha's landscape. They were built during the 17th and 18th centuries, considered Orcha's golden era.
Orcha is a town steeped in history, and it's been so beautiful to just look at all the monuments here. It's truly been a wonderful trip, and having the CLA to drive around in has only made things more enjoyable. But it's time for me to head back, so thank you for joining us and hope to see you again next week.